Welcome back to another edition of the Cultura Anime blog. I'm Ariel, as always, and joining me today is Marina. Say hello. So back in 2004, Frontline came out with a special report on the world of advertising. And I was watching this program, and towards the very end of it, I started to get kind of freaked out. There's this really upbeat music playing, and correspondent David Rushkoff is talking about how we're better consumers when we are thinking about ourselves, and so that's why advertisements always cater to the individual. And I'm thinking about how Douglas Atkins studied cults in order to figure out how to essentially make a cult of consumers for a product or a brand. And one of the last points in the piece, one of the very last things that's said, is that the purpose of ads has become not to persuade people, but to incite them to persuade themselves. And I just wanted to know, is anyone else creeped out by this? And then you have this other ad agency guy telling us that with all these choices, ads are actually giving us power. And we're empowered by these ads because of how many choices we have. And then their correspondent, David Rushkoff, who I'm always rooting for, says, maybe we are in control. And I was like, really, David? You're really gonna say that we're in control? With the happy, upbeat song saying everything will be better if we just go shopping. I swear, I still can't decide if it was supposed to be a satire. And one kind of hopes that it's a satire, because if it's not a satire, that means that this Frontline piece was doing what every single ad has ever tried to do, and that's sell me something. But it's not selling me a product. It's selling me capitalism, which sadly makes a lot of sense. I mean, why would Frontline try and put the advertisement agencies in a negative light? Because if you put the ad agencies in a negative light, then you're kind of questioning capitalism, and people will start calling you a communist. Which I'm still not so sure why that's a bad thing, but apparently it is. So what I want to tell you today is that Douglas Rushkoff and all of those ad guys are lying to you when they tell you that advertisement is empowering. When they tell you that you're in control and you're empowered because of all the choices that you have. I'll submit to the fact that there's certainly an illusion that we have choice. You go into the supermarket and look around, there's so many types of juice, there's a million types of shampoos. It's so overwhelming, the amount of choice we have, that we would never even stop to wonder, well, maybe there's more. Because there's already way more than we could ever comprehend in the first place. There's a band that I've loved for a really long time. They're called The Matches, and they have a song called The Restless. They say this in their song. You see the movies that you want to see, right? And you know what you want to be, right? So choose between A, B, or C. It's free will, but it's still a recipe. Advertising agencies know how to get to us. They know that they can appeal to our desire to belong to a group of people. They know that they can appeal to our desire to be beautiful. They know that they can appeal to our desire to be accepted. And not only do they know what we want for ourselves, they know what we like in our brands. They know that we like our brands to be, like our people, flawsome. That's a conflation of the words flawed and awesome, and it's essentially the idea that we don't like brands or companies or businesses that claim to be perfect, because to us, perfection reads as fake. We like people that we associate with to have some flaws, and similarly, we like our brands to have flaws. So these ad guys are carefully crafting these campaigns to not only get at our subconscious tendencies, but also our insecurities. Oh, and by the way, and this is really important, those insecurities that they're playing at are the insecurities that they created in the first place. The only reason I ever wear makeup is because of media images that have convinced me that I'm only pretty if I do so. I only drink and party on the weekends because of all the TV shows and movies and cigarette and alcohol commercials, which have convinced me that that's just what people do. I would never buy makeup, something that's completely unnecessary. I would never spend money on something that's harmful to my body if I didn't feel like I was missing something without it. So, these ad agencies make sure you feel like you're insufficient by showing you images of what you're supposed to be. That's these lovely people right here. Which, by the way, what you're supposed to be is often a totally unattainable standard. And then they offer you the thing that's gonna fix you. But they're the reason that you feel like you need to be fixed in the first place. Which, by the way, you don't need to be fixed. So that's all crazy enough, but then these ad men, like the guys that were interviewed in Frontline, tell us that, no, indeed, these advertisements are empowering. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. You are not being empowered by the media. You are brainwashed into a cycle of trying to constantly improve yourself and constantly failing. And you're not failing because you're insufficient, you're failing because you must fail. Because the goals that have been set for you are out of reach. So you'll just keep on buying and trying until you die. Yay! Capitalism! I promise you that the joy that you get from a new pair of shoes is temporary. It's fleeting. And on some level, you know this too. I want you to know that true, lasting joy is only something that can be found within yourself. And it's not something that can be purchased or even attained through a purchase. Now, this can sound a lot like a conspiracy theory. And maybe it is. And so maybe you think I'm just crazy. But if that is true, if you think that everything I'm saying is just crazy, then I only have one request. And it's that you just think.